Welcome back. A 42-year-old manager working for a finance company has tragically died by suicide at his residence in Uttar Pradesh's Jhansi. Tarun Saxena, who worked for Bajaj Finance for around 8 years, left behind a suicide note addressed to his wife. In the note, Saxena revealed that he had been under immense stress due to the pressure from his bosses, who were allegedly pushing him to either meet his targets or call it quits. Saxena, who is survived by his parents, wife Megha, and children Yathat and Pihu, was found hanging by the house help. He had locked his wife and two children in a different room before taking his own life. As of now, the family has not filed an FIR and Bajaj Finance is yet to respond to the allegations, even though we ourselves from Mirror now have written out to the company. But that's not the only disturbing story of suspected workplace suicide coming to us as well. Another person who reportedly was working at a bank jumped off the Atul Setu yesterday in a bid ostensibly to claim his own life. A deputy manager working at the SBI branch in South Mumbai jumped off the bridge at around 10 a.m. yesterday. The rescue teams are on the job as there's been a massive manhunt that has been launched to locate the man or at least his body. Efforts by 4 teams of Mumbai police, including local fishermen and coastal road rescue teams, are underway for a second straight day. A missing person case has also been registered. The incident happened when a 40-year-old man named Sushant Chakravarti drove his car to Atal Setu, halted it on the bridge, and then jumped into the sea underneath. No suicide note has been recovered. However, his wife has alleged that he was dealing with work pressure. She has further revealed that the couple, along with a 7-year daughter, had gone to a trip to Lonavala just a few days ago, but even there, he was stressed about work during the getaway. 2 months ago as well, Sushant had gone missing for 2 days. At that time, his wife had filed a missing complaint. However, when after 2 days he came back, the case was dismissed. So as you can see on your screens, we are opening up our phone lines. Call us in the number you can see flashing on your screen, 0120-6634616, and call us with your views as to about the increasing problem that most of us working professionals are facing at work, to a point of course, overwork and workplace pressure, to the point at which we are seeing these disturbing cases of either death due to overwork or suicides being committed due to dealing with workplace pressures. I'm also being joined by Sonika Aran, founder of Marching Sheep, and I hope to be joined by Dr. Deepak Raheja, noted psychiatrist as well. Sonika, thanks for joining us on the show at this point. Is this not an important lesson for corporate India? We have already seen what happened during the case with Anna Sebastian, who was working with EY at this point. But with EY or with MNCs or certain companies of certain repute, there's still at least a fig leaf of employer protection, of employee welfare, which is being put into play, which is at least existing, even though it might not be employed in practice. But when we look at private companies, such as these 2 companies from whom these unfortunate individuals hail from, there are so many other tier 2 or tier 3 companies here where the idea is to try and minimize losses, try and generate as much revenue as possible, try and meet the sales target by any means necessary. And then the workplace pressure which their employees are subjected to is absolutely unimaginable.
Thank you, Ritangshu. See, first and foremost, what has happened with Anna, with Tarun, with Sushant, it's really sad and should not happen with anyone. I hope, strength to the families to deal with this. Coming back to stress, Ritangshu, I don't agree that it is any one kind of organizations, whether it is MNCs, whether it is Indian companies, private sector, public sector. I think it applies to everyone. When we go to work, we spend a good 8 to 10 hours at the workplace. And why does any one of us work? We all work because we have aspirations, both personal and professional. We all want to grow in life. And we also want to spend those 8 to 10 hours productively. Now, work pressure or stress to some extent is there everywhere. I run my own firm and even I have work stress and pressure. My question to every organization would be that what is it that we are doing to help employees work and thrive despite the work pressure? See, you said that, the attempt is to minimize losses, get the most out of employees. Um, you know, That has always been the case. But what I am seeing more and more of, see, when we had the COVID pandemic, the number of sessions that we did on emotional resilience, psychological safety went through the roof. And the moment the pandemic cooled down, it suddenly stopped. Today, when we ask any organization that what do you have for employee well-being, everybody will say they have employee assistance programs. Everybody will say we have medical insurance. Everybody will say that we have a lot of care programs, wellness programs. But my question is that are we really addressing the root cause? So let me tell you what I think, having worked across so many organizations.
Okay.
First and foremost, as an employee, I fear to speak up. And I can tell you, it is not that, I've been on the other side as well. I have been an employee, I've had managers. Way back in 2003, I had a toxic manager. In 2010, I had a toxic manager. And both cases, I left the organization, but I did not speak up. Why? Because who likes to burn bridges? Right? We don't speak up.
Absolutely.
That is the culture because we will be penalized for speaking up. That is number one. Second, organizations invest a lot in technology because that will increase productivity, efficiency. They will invest a lot in getting a celebrity to do their ads. But when it comes to developing people, they will have an LMS in place. I believe that in a lot of cases, stress is caused because the manager passes on the stress. I, as an employee, experience the organization through the manager. Manager is giving me the targets. Manager is monitoring me. Manager is tracking my performance. Now, if the manager is not able to create an environment where I am able to deliver, grow, balance between psychological safety and accountability, then these cases will continue to
Yeah.
happen. LMS is great when I have to bring LMS is learning management system. These are online trainings. It is great when I have to build knowledge and skill, but behavior change. I think we need to invest in sorry about that in manager development. Third, when we talk about employee
Okay.
assistance
So, all
programs,
right.
how many employees, sorry, just last statement, how many employees really feel
Yeah.
comfortable in saying that I am going to a psychiatrist or a counselor? Because there is still a stigma around it. And whether these counselors
Absolutely. And
and psychiatrists,
thankfully,
yeah.
on that note, Sonika, on that note, ma'am, we also have a psychiatrist on the panel, Dr. Deepak Raheja. Thank you, Dr. Raheja, for joining us. The point is that even now, mental health, or at least being able to access mental health, is a privilege on many accounts. Sonika pointed out how there's still a societal stigma which stops people from trying to reach out, or at least be open about the fact that they are reaching out to for mental health. It's also expensive, and let's be honest here, not everyone has the time or the resources to even go out. These two cases that we know, and we are specifically looking at also men's mental health, because that's a further different set of problems here for someone who's the breadwinner of his family, as we saw in the case of the Bajaj Finance employee. He has EMIs to deal with, he has three people, he has three children, he has aged parents, he has his wife to deal with. At that point, somehow society does not encourage us to seek mental health. And even if we do, what can we do when the source of these problems, as Sonika mentioned, is stemming from one's manager, stemming from one's work culture, stemming from one's sales targets? What does a person even do in such a scenario?
See, so I think it is very, very important that we figure out mechanisms to draw a work-life balance. But within the organization, if you feel that you are under a pressure of sorts, it's important to reach out and figure out resources within the system, senior managers. It is important to have a vent to be able to talk, because what really happens is that, unfortunately, one of the common denominator that comes out in situations like these is that these people don't have a robust support system. They are not able to talk. They are not able to ventilate. So I think every mental health elevating or helping coping exercise would not mean that you essentially have to visit a psychologist or a psychiatrist, even though a lot of these cases may be severely depressed, requiring clinical attention, but it also means having a friend that you can talk to, having a family that you can talk to, uh,
Yeah.
prioritizing, I mean, in terms of how much you want to keep giving into the pressures that are, produced by the hustle
Okay.
culture, where productivity only is the grind. It only means at the expense of personal well-being. It only means that you have to look exhausted, feel exhausted, which is the unfortunate sometimes aspiration of an employer. But it is also
True.
unfair to equate all of that to the employer, because these also might be select few people who are vulnerable, who had the diathesis, who were probably going through a more serious clinical condition. They were depressed. They had another psychiatric psychological morbidity for which they needed help.
That
And
is a very
life
important
does not.
point, Dr. Raheja, you're mentioning here, because that's a very important point you're mentioning, Dr. Raja, because it's very important not to demonize the corporate sector entirely. We still don't know the full picture at this point here. Because we don't understand mental health to an extent, we understand that any sort of a mental disability or mental illness is also equated uh, to workplace pressure, and we try and sweep everything under the carpet at this point. I once again, a reminder to all our callers to join us with their views if possible. But Sonika, if I could bring you in while we wait our callers, there are this has to be an argument, this has to be a fight, if I can may say, to be fought on both the corporate level and the individual level. In the corporate level, we saw in the case of what happened with the Big Four employee a few months ago that there was a discussion which came out that when these companies work abroad, there are very strict rules about no emails or definitely no calls after 5 p.m. or during weekends. Please do not disturb unless necessary. There is an emphasis given to work-life balance. But when these same companies or when these same managers come to India or deal with Indian employees, all of these precautions and all of these protocols are thrown out of the window. Is it because in India, before I come to you, Sonika, if you don't mind, I have a caller, Sabut Chaudhary, who's joining us from Delhi. Let's listen into what Sabut Chaudhary had to say before I'll come back to you. Sabut Chaudhary, if you can hear me, please go ahead and have your
Yeah,
say.
I can hear you, sir. My only thing is, see, they're all big companies where the people have suicide earlier. There was a girl from EY company. Then it was again HDFC Bank. We all knew what has
Yeah.
happened to that manager who was shouting to his voice using all the flowery language. Now the Bajaj. Why not we defame these companies? The media and everything. Why don't we put these names? These are the companies. They are doing these things. Let's defame them, na? See, it is very easy to say how employees
Fair enough.
development,
But that
manager
was again one
development,
of the
everybody
knee-jerk
knows about.
responses which I was. Yeah,
Why not
that
defame
was
these
again one of the
companies?
knee-jerk responses which I was. All right, Sabuj, thanks a lot for joining us. Sonika, again, the point is there is a very strong reaction that comes in that these companies should be named and shamed. But again, is it because of these companies or individuals who work there who feel that when it comes to Indian employees, because there's a surplus of Indian labor, there are no clear labor laws, especially in a white-collar sector, which is why these rules can be flouted and abused and ignored?
No, I disagree with that. See, I will again say that no organization wants this, because end of the day, what happens? Their reputation gets shredded. Right today, when we are talking about, what happened at EY or what happened at Bajaj Finance or what happened at SBI, it is not nice. So no organization wants
But
that, and
Sonika,
they
these
would
are
have
tip of
policies.
the icebergs, which we only see after they've made headlines. My
Correct.
point is, you mentioned your own case about how twice or thrice you've had to leave your employee because of a toxic workplace environment, but you couldn't speak out because you were afraid of burning bridges.
And
That's the
that is
same problem a lot of people have. They often can't leave the company because they don't know when the next job will come from. It's already a very tough job market.
And Ritangshu, that is where the managerial, and that is, and irrespective of whether I'm in India or Hong Kong or US or UK, it really depends on whether my manager, how is my manager translating those policies and processes and letting them reach me. I might have a policy that allows for
Okay.
saying that, okay, after 5 o'clock, no work related calls. But if my boss is humiliating me in team meetings during 8 to 5, what good does a work-life balance do to me? I am coming back to work thinking of what is going to
That's
happen to me the next day. It all boils down to what kind of managers are we nurturing? Are there any consequences if a manager is abusing his or her or their power? I think today we are not giving enough attention to how people, managers are getting work done by their people. Are they empathetic? Are they trained? Are they able to give feedback properly? Are they able to conduct team meetings properly? I think that is where we are struggling. People become managers after being good individual contributors for 2 years. Also, yes, there might be some people who might be suffering from clinical depression or some other mental disorder or illness. But the fact is that if I am subjected to humiliation, insult, constant pressure for 8 to 10 hours, or I can be shouted on in public at any point of time, I will feel uh, a loss of confidence. I will feel that I have to walk on
yes.
eggshells, and no human being likes that. Is it corporate only to blame? I don't think so. I think corporates are a subunit of the society. I think all our
Oh,
managers and leaders come from the society, so it is also what we are normalizing
all
as
right.
people.
All right, we've got a caller from Pune, which is where, of course, the incident with EY happened. Rajesh Joshi is joining us on the phone line. Rajesh, please go ahead and have your say. Before then, I go back to Dr. Raheja. Rajesh Joshi.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, my heartfelt condolences to the family of the person. And this obviously is something that appears to now being brought up to light quite a lot with the last two incidents, the earlier incident of the chartered accountant. My having spent 30 years in corporate in sales and marketing, I have been always trying to tell people, you need to understand what kind of a job are you made for. There is no point in unnecessarily falling for peer pressure, societal pressure, family pressure, trying to unnecessarily justify things by accumulating and even families of people need to understand that is my husband, is my wife, is my daughter made for this thing, and then help them choose a proper career path
That
rather than pushing them along just because somebody else is successful there, pushing them along, and then one day the person is unable to pick it. It is actually a torture. I mean, one can just imagine the kind of EMIs that people, kind of load up themselves. The mental tensions are completely it's unthinkable. So, through your channel, I really wish to tell people, please understand what you're made for. There is no point in running after corporate success. It does not matter. After spending 30 years and now that I am
that's
off
true.
that chair, trust me, not a single ex-colleague wants to connect with me because I am of no importance to them. I have turned around companies. I've been instrumental in taking companies from X to X plus 10. It does not matter, sir. Your health is important. You as a person is important for the family, for your loved ones. Please, please do not do this.
Okay.
This is my request to your channel, sir.
Rajesh Joshi, thank you so much for your views. And I can already say that it has struck a chord with a lot of my guests and with a lot of our viewers as well. Dr. Raheja, would you like to comment on that? Because the point which Mr. Joshi made, was that this is an issue which stems not just when one enters the workplace, but also right beforehand also. Because there are these certain professions which are seen to be a lot more lucrative financially, a lot more lucrative societally, and therefore there's always this pressure. It used to be 20 years ago, it used to be either engineering or medicine. Now it's more finance or banking or MNCs. And a lot of people don't understand that perhaps they're not necessarily fit out for that kind of lifestyle. It's not a knock on their abilities. Perhaps they're a lot more suited to working in a more relaxed, more creative setup than dealing with those kinds of pressures. Not everyone is fit to be a Fauji. Not everyone is fit to be working in a doctor in an emergency ward. And that is something, that's a conversation that needs to be had as well.
I totally agree with Mr. Joshi's emotional message, and I think that strikes the chord in terms of how much pressure do you want to bring upon yourself, and I think a whole lot of it. It's a very complicated phenomena, but it starts from sheer comparison of your own life with the lives of people around, social media, seeing
Yes.
the glamour that you see on social media, seeing somebody's life as more successful and more enjoyable and more luxurious, and then putting yourself to that pressure of wanting the new car, the new house, the better holiday. So I think individuals will need to find the right fit in terms of the job that they are cut for. The families will need to be sensitive in terms of where the money is coming from. And I think at the end of it, when you leave an organization, not many people will remember you because you don't belong there anymore. So
Absolutely.
I think it's very important that you continue to be empathetic to your own self. Reminds me of a beautiful proverb which goes, if people were to treat me the way I treat myself, I'd sue them. So it's not always the people, it is a lot of
The,
time myself in
very
terms
well
of the
said.
emotions I put myself through, the pressures I put myself through, and the aspirations I put myself through. And if that could culminate into happiness, then I'd be a happy man. But unfortunately, even though the luxuries we amass, they are
Yeah.
increasing, but are we a more happier society? Are we more happier human beings? Is a big question mark. And the
That's an
incidents of
absolute,
these
that's a very,
self harm or
that's a fair point
suicide,
indeed,
they
Dr.
are in.
Raheja. I'm quickly going to get in my last caller on the panel before I come to you for closing remarks. Noor Ahmed from Mumbai, please go ahead and have your say, Noor Ahmed.
Mr. Bhattacharya, good afternoon to you. Mr. Bhattacharya, good
Good
afternoon to
afternoon,
you.
sir.
Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Bhattacharya. Do you remember there was a movie
Sir,
by the
please
name called Man
mute your
Called Horse?
television set and please continue, sir.
Yeah, do you remember this movie was made, The Man Called Horse? I hope people remember this
All right. I
movie.
think we are having some
In
problem.
the way that, yeah.
All right.
People,
Noor Ahmed, I think there's an audio delay. We'll try and fix that connection. I'm also getting Santosh Kumar joining me from Bengaluru. Santosh Kumar, please go ahead and have your say.
Yeah, good afternoon. In my view, absence of labor laws
Good afternoon.
and greed for profit, employees are vulnerable. How many hours they have spent yesterday on workforce during half year end, and how many hours they are going to spend for the next year end. Hire and fire threaten the people. Humiliation in front of colleagues leads to mental torture. Hence, some
Yes.
control should be there. Being a banker, I know the humiliation, doing good business and profit to the bank, but still I was totally tortured, mentally tortured till my superannuation period. So this is the work culture for the people. So human beings are not vegetable. Some control should be there.
My commiserations
This
for
is
you,
my view.
absolutely, Santosh Kumarji. Again, your story is not, it's not just yours. A lot of our viewers have been joining us ever since we have started focusing on this issue for the last few weeks, telling us about similar stories as well. I'll come to you, Dr. Raheja, for the last word. For a lot of our viewers are watching us right now, if you can explain, if someone's in a no escape situation where they're trapped in a toxic job with a toxic manager, they can't leave their job, perhaps because they still are hoping for a job offer from another place, or if they have responsibilities for the family. How does one take care of one's mental health to try and endure what is dealing with in the workplace, at least till better options arise?
So I think first and foremost, it's important to look for a mental health intervention that might be available at the workplace. Even though one is fearful that confidentiality may not be 100%, but usually I think we need to go past that fear. These are professions that come with very strict rules of confidentiality. So if there is a counselor or a psychologist available at workplace, try and talk to them. It's very important, if you can't leave the job or switch the job at this point, to find a support mechanism, to start talking to somebody. I mean, a friend, family. Don't keep it bottled inside. If you can seek a mental health intervention elsewhere, please do that. But a work-life balance would also entail trying to
Okay.
get optimum sleep, trying to eat well, find time to exercise. There are plethora of progressive muscle relaxation, yoga nidra audios, videos that are available on
So
internet,
options are
YouTube.
available,
Do
Dr.
not
Raheja. I'm
refrain
very, very
from
sorry. I'll have to
using them.
cut you short because we are completely out of time. I wish we could have had this conversation with you and with Sonika for much longer as well, because this is a very serious issue and we'll probably bring this up in prime time as well. But thank you so much, Dr. Raheja. Thank you so much, Sonika. Also, I think the takeaway can be that help is always around. I know it, and when one is locked in a situation like this that feels that there's no way out, there's no escape, but it's important to put your priorities in a safe, priorities towards oneself, priorities towards one's family, and then priorities towards one's employment at this point. Hopefully, we've got a conversation rolling and we'll continue this in the days to come. But thank you so much for joining me. Also, thank you to my callers as well. It's time